guys, this is Nathara at CrowSong Lodge, and I'm here again with another review video. I was going to do an unboxing video for this deck, but then I couldn't help myself and I had to use it first. So it's kind of an unboxing, kind of a review. So this is my review for the Spirit Animal Oracle, and I have been drooling over this deck for a while now, months, since it went up for pre-order. I don't even remember how long that was. And the reason I was originally going to do an unboxing is because when it arrived in the mail, the packaging was just so nice. So this is the box that it comes in, and it's one of those really nice, and I can't get over them. It's one of those really nice cardboard, well finished magnetic boxes. So you can see it has like the extra flap on the side, and then it opens up and it's really nice, and you know, it snaps shut and then you have to kind of pop it open again. So it does have the magnetic closure, and inside it says the spirits residing in the natural world have much to share, and the secrets of their forgotten language are now available to you. So you cannot see that on my camera because it's too bright. There we go. Now you can see it, but it's backwards. I'll reverse that for you. But you can see, like, one really neat thing about this is that it's actually raised. There you go. Now you can see it. It's actually raised. So this part actually fits into the deck cavity. So it actually holds your deck down so it doesn't like jostle around in transit. So I'm actually going to be using this to hold my deck in. As you guys have heard me say before, I don't usually keep decks in their boxes on my desk. I have like a big organizer basket, and I just kind of line all the decks that I'm using currently up in there so I can just grab them whenever I want to. But I'll be keeping this one in its box because it's super easy. It's a super nice box, and it's super easy to get the deck in and out. So you can just open the box up, and then it's got the little ribbon so you can pull the deck out easily. And then you've got the deck, and it comes with this really, really nice book. I absolutely judge decks, especially Oracle decks, by their books. Tarot decks, you know, I like them to have a book, but I'm not too picky about the quality of the book. But Oracle decks, I will definitely judge you based on the book. I love that this book comes in a size that fits easily with the deck. You can see it's absolutely the same size as the deck is, and it fits in the box with it, so that makes it really easy to transport with the deck, instead of having like keep it separately on the bookshelf, and then you have to kind of like keep track of the book and the deck for that period where you're learning what the material in the book has. Now, one thing that I really like about the book too is it's got this great introduction, and I love how Colette Baron-Reid does her books, because the introduction does talk about what she was thinking of, what she intended for the deck to be, but she doesn't like go on and on and on forever, and she doesn't get overly strident about what you can and cannot do with her deck, which is pointless because I'm just going to do what I want anyway. But I really do, when I get a new deck, I do want to know what the author and artist were thinking, what their intentions were, where they were coming from in their heart and their creativity when they were creating the deck, and kind of what angle I'm supposed to be approaching the deck from, like what the background is. And so she does give a little introduction to how Oracle cards work, what her intentions for the deck were, and what her process to creating it were, but that's only like 5 or 6 pages long. And then she gives you some tips about the best way to use the deck, and then she launches into a bunch of spreads, and then the rest of the book is just the meaning of the cards, which is great. And this deck has upright and reverse card meanings. I don't care either way whether or not a deck has reversed meanings or not, but it is good to know ahead of time. For me, if it has reversed meanings, I do make a point of twisting when I shuffle. If it doesn't, I make a point of not twisting when I shuffle, just to keep them all upright. If it's not supposed to have reversed meanings, I have so many decks that it just makes it easier on myself. If I'm like, am I supposed to be reversing these? And then I see there are reverse cards, and I'm like, okay, yes, I'm supposed to be reversing these. So that just makes it easier for me, and I like to read the deck the way it was intended in regards to reversals. So one of the reasons one of the high priorities for me when it comes to getting a deck is the artwork. If you don't have absolutely gorgeous artwork in the deck, I'm not going to get it. It has to be stunning. I have to connect with the artwork. In fact, odds are pretty good. If I connect with the artwork, it doesn't matter what you have to say or what you've intended for your deck, I'm going to get it anyway. And the artwork in this one is absolutely gorgeous. I'm kind of a sucker for animal decks to begin with, but recently a lot of animal decks have come out where I just don't care for the artwork and the way it's done, but this one is definitely an exception. So here's an example of Dove, and this is a really, really simple card, but it's really, really beautiful. You can see the depth of color, the different layers of color and texture in it, even though it's just a simple dove in flight, is just really beautiful. And then here is a bee spirit, and you're not seeing the texture as well because my camera's not that great, but you can see it's got like the honeycomb texture on top, and again the layers and layers of color, and the beautiful detailing on the bee as well. And then of course we have Fox Spirit. This was one of the big selling points for me for the deck. There we go, there's a good lighting spot. So you can see like the different textures and details and the layering of the colors again, and the little detail designs. Like there's some feathers poking out, a little mandala happening in the background. So the imagery isn't taken entirely from one tradition, so it's not all like Native American traditions, and you would think that with like the feathers, and you could think that with the mandala, but for instance, well, you can't see it well on that one. With the fox, there is also like a flower design as a mask over the fox face. It looks a bit like a hibiscus, which has a Polynesian or a Hawaiian vibe to it. And for hummingbird spirit, the texture it has on it looks a lot like Indian henna instead. So there's a lot of multiculturalism going on here that I think is just absolutely beautiful. And here's Dolphin with all its speckled colors. And so I really, really like the artwork here. Now the finish on the cards is, it's not super glossy, which is great because then they don't like slip and slide all over each other, which can be really annoying until you break them in and get them kind of scratched up. But it's got this kind of matte, not quite velvety feel, but it's really soft to the touch, and the cards grip each other really well without sticking to each other. Oh, look how cute Badger is. Badger's adorable. And so they're really easy to shuffle. Now, because these are bigger than usual, they're bigger, wider than a tarot card deck, but about the same height. I do shuffle them sideways, but I find it pretty easy to riffle them. They're thick enough that bending them isn't really reasonable, but they're wide enough that you can kind of fan riffle them without bending them. So I find shuffling them to be pretty easy, as long as you do it this way, side to side, instead of this way, top to top. And also I didn't show you the backs. The backs are beautiful as well. They've got this great mandala on the back, and so you can't tell the top from the bottom, which I feel is pretty essential. And each card is numbered, so you can easily find it in the book. Now, one thing that I think is kind of wild in her books is that she does have different names for the upright and the reversed meanings from deck to deck. So in this deck, she has the oracle message is the upright meaning, and the protection message is the reversed meaning. So in other decks, they're called different things. So you kind of have to like know her formatting, but it's always the first description is the upright meaning, and the second description is the reversed meaning. And the meanings are pretty straightforward. They're a little poetic, a little dramatic, but otherwise they're pretty straightforward. So an example of Hummingbird Spirit, which I just opened up to, is the hummingbird's wings beat so swiftly it can hover in seeming stillness as it drinks deeply from a flower. Hummingbird spirit comes to remind you that the beauty and sweetness of life is in the eternal now, the timeless present. And the reversed meaning starts out, nectar is everywhere, but hummingbird spirit is here to remind you that flying from flower to flower and being all over the place wastes precious energy. So that's just the opening of those two meanings. They go on for a bit longer, but you can see that they're pretty straightforward in their meanings, and so I appreciate that. It's just a little bit of storytelling or poetry to kind of really convey the essence of the card while also being straightforward enough to be easily understandable and get to the point and not require 30 pages to get around to it. So I really like this deck, and again, like I said, for me, the high priority is the artwork, and I find the artwork absolutely stunning, and this is such a quality deck that I just can't get over it. It's really beautiful, and I love it to that. So I highly recommend the deck. I'm absolutely loving it, and I hope this has been useful information to you. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments, and I will talk to you later.